The clock struck midnight, but inside the old farmhouse, silence was thick enough to drown out even the loudest thoughts. Emma stood frozen in the dim hallway, her heart pounding louder than the tick of the ancient grandfather clock behind her. She was staring down at the blood-stained note in her trembling hands. The paper was crumpled, edges soaked with fresh crimson that hadn't yet dried. The words scrawled across it were almost illegible. "You can't hide anymore." Her breath hitched as the floorboards behind her groaned under the weight of footsteps she hadn't heard approach. The creak of the heavy wooden door echoed through the house, slow and deliberate. Emma's fingers tightened around the note. She didn't dare look back. "Emma!" a voice whispered, low and twisted, crawling under her skin. She wanted to scream, to run, but her feet felt glued to the floor. The door was opening wider now. For weeks, Emma had been trying to rebuild her life after the nightmare that had shattered everything. After losing her husband in a mysterious accident, she thought moving back to her childhood home would help her heal. But the past has a way of catching up, and the shadows of that night hadn't let go. She flipped the note again, the blood drying and curling the paper's edges. The message wasn't signed, but Emma knew who it was from. It was a warning, a threat from someone she once trusted. Her mind raced back to the night everything went wrong, the night she found out the truth, the lies, the betrayal. She had come home late from work, the weight of exhaustion dragging her down when she noticed the front door ajar. At first she thought it was a mistake. Maybe the wind had pushed it open. But then she saw it, the shattered glass. On the porch, the muddy footprints leading inside. Emma's hands shook as she recalled how she called the police, only to be told there was no sign of forced entry, no suspects, nothing. But she knew better. Someone had been inside. Someone was watching her. That night, the nightmares began. Each night, the same chilling sound haunted her. The slow creak of the old door opening, footsteps drawing closer, whispers seeping from the shadows. And every morning, another note would appear, messages that grew darker, more personal. "You think you're safe? They're watching. You can't run." Emma became a prisoner in her own home, her world shrinking to the four walls that now held memories of love and terror. But she refused to give in. With a fierce resolve, Emma began piecing together the puzzle. She searched the old family albums, dug through dusty boxes in the attic, anything to find clues. And then she found it, a photo hidden in a forgotten frame. It showed her husband smiling, arms around another woman. But this woman wasn't a stranger. It was Emma's best friend, the woman who had always been there for her, or so she thought. The betrayal cut deeper than the sharpest knife. Emma confronted her best friend that day, her voice trembling with a mix of rage and heartbreak. "Why? How could you do this?" Her friend's eyes were cold, unreadable. "You never really knew him," she said. "There's so much you don't understand." Emma demanded the truth, but her friend only smiled, a dark smile that sent shivers down her spine. "It's just the beginning," she warned. That night the notes stopped. But the terror didn't. Emma felt eyes on her constantly. Every shadow seemed to move. Every sound was a warning. She wasn't alone. And then the calls started. At first, they were silent, just breathing on the other end. Then came the threats. "You're next. You can't escape." Emma's world spun out of control. She called the police again, but there was no evidence. The terror was invisible to everyone else. She was losing her mind, or so they thought. But Emma knew better. She was being hunted. On the fourth night, as the rain battered the windows, Emma made a choice. She couldn't hide anymore. Armed with nothing but a flashlight and the will to survive, she ventured into the dark, searching for answers. What she found would change everything. Suddenly, the basement door creaked open. Emma's breath caught in her throat. The flashlight flickered as a shadow moved in the darkness. A figure stepped forward, face obscured by the dim light. "Emma," a voice whispered, You should have never come back. Who is the shadow in the basement? What does she want? And can Emma survive the night? The figure's face remained hidden in the dim beam of Emma's flickering flashlight. Her heart hammered so loudly she feared it would give her away. Who are you? Emma managed to whisper, voice barely steady. The shadow moved closer, slow, deliberate. Then a hand reached out, brushing a strand of damp hair from Emma's forehead. "It's me," the voice said, cold and familiar. Emma's breath caught. The voice was unmistakable. Her husband's. "No, it can't be," she whispered, backing up a step. But the figure stepped fully into the light. The face was pale, eyes sunken, almost ghost-like. "Why are you here?" Emma demanded, trying to steady her trembling hands. "I never left," he said softly. "I've been trapped here, watching everything unfold." Emma's mind spun. Was this some cruel trick? A hallucination brought on by fear and exhaustion? "Trapped," she echoed. "What do you mean?" "You died." His eyes darkened. "I didn't die by accident." Emma's world shifted. All the pieces she thought she understood shattered. Her husband had been murdered. Someone had wanted him gone. And now, his ghost, or whatever this was warning her. "Who did this?" she pleaded. "Tell me." But the figure only shook his head. "It's complicated. The truth will destroy you." Emma's fear twisted into frustration. "I need to know. I have to protect myself." The ghostly figure sighed, looking away. "Start with her," he whispered. "Your best friend. She's not who you think." Emma's blood ran cold. She'd already suspected her best friend, but hearing it from the one she loved shattered what little hope she'd clung to. "Why? What did she want with you?" Emma's voice cracked. Her husband's apparition grew distant, fading in and out like smoke. "She wanted everything, including your life." Emma stumbled back, nearly dropping the flashlight. Her mind raced. Why would her friend want to hurt her? Then it hit her, those threatening notes, the strange calls. It was all connected. "Why didn't you tell me before?" she asked desperately. "I was silenced," he said, voice barely audible now. "But I left clues. Clues you need to find before she does something worse." The basement door slammed, shut behind Emma, jolting her back to reality. The ghost was gone. She stood alone in the damp, cold basement, clutching the blood-stained note tighter than ever. Her husband had been right. She was in danger, and her best friend was at the heart of it. Over the next few days, Emma became obsessed with uncovering the truth. She searched every inch of the house, digging through old boxes, finding hidden compartments, secret letters. One letter in particular caught her eye. It was from her husband to her, written weeks before his death. "If anything happens to me, trust no one, especially not those closest to you." Emma felt tears sting her eyes. How had she missed this? Then, late one night, a knock at the door shattered the silence. Emma froze. No one ever visited this late. Peering through the peephole, she saw her best friend standing there, smiling warmly. "Emma, I just wanted to check on you," she said sweetly. Emma's heart pounded. "Was this a trap? Can I come in?" her friend asked. Emma hesitated but nodded. Inside, the atmosphere was tense. Her friend's smile never wavered, but Emma saw something cold beneath. They talked for hours, the conversation carefully guarded. Finally, Emma asked the question burning inside. Why did you betray me? Why hurt my husband?" Her friend's smile twisted. "Betrayal is a strong word," she said. "You don't know the whole story." Emma's blood ran cold again. "Then tell me." Her friend leaned forward, voice low. "Your husband was involved in things you never understood. Dangerous things. People who wanted him silenced. I tried to protect you." Emma's mind reeled. Was this another lie? Or worse, the truth? Before she could respond, her friend's phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen and stiffened. "They're watching," she whispered. Emma's pulse quickened. Who was watching? And what would they do next? The next morning, Emma found another note slipped under her door. "You're running out of time." Panic surged through her veins. Whoever was behind this was closing in. She called the police again, but their response was the same. No evidence, no leads. Feeling isolated, Emma reached out to an old detective friend, Mark. Mark listened carefully as Emma recounted everything, the notes, the calls, the ghostly visit. "We'll get to the bottom of this," he promised. Together, they started digging into her husband's past. What they uncovered shocked Emma. Her husband had been involved in exposing a powerful criminal network. He'd been collecting evidence, making enemies, and her best friend. She wasn't just a bystander, she was connected to that network. Betrayal cut deeper than Emma imagined. One night, as Emma left Mark's office, she noticed a car following her. Heart racing, she took a detour, but the car matched every turn. Panic boiled over. She sped up, but the car kept pace. Suddenly, headlights blinded her. The car rammed hers from behind. Emma's world spun as her car crashed into a tree. When she woke, she was in a hospital bed, bruised but alive. Mark was there, face grim. "They're desperate," he said. "You're closer than ever to the truth, but they won't stop." Emma's resolve hardened. "I have to finish this," she whispered. Days later, Emma returned home, more determined than ever. She sifted through her husband's hidden files, piecing together the full extent of the conspiracy. It wasn't just about money or power, it was about control. It wasn't just about money or power, it was about control. And her husband had threatened everything. Emma knew what she had to do. That night, she set a trap. She left the house, making it look like she was running away. Then she hid nearby, waiting. Hours passed in agonizing silence. Just as dawn began to break, a figure slipped through the shadows toward her house. Her best friend. Emma's heart pounded as she followed, ready for the confrontation that would change everything. What will Emma discover when she confronts her best friend? Will the truth finally come out, or will this nightmare only deepen? Emma's breath hitched as she followed her best friend through the creeping dawn. The cold morning air bit at her skin, but adrenaline kept her moving, her heart pounding in her ears. Every step was heavy with dread, every shadow a silent threat. Her best friend moved with a strange urgency, glancing over her shoulder more than once. Emma kept a safe distance, but didn't lose sight of her. The house's back door creaked open, and her friend slipped inside like a ghost. Emma's hands trembled as she pulled out her phone, quietly calling Mark. "She's inside," she whispered. "We're on our way," he replied. Emma slipped around to the front and cautiously entered the house. The silence was thick, suffocating. She felt eyes watching her, unseen but heavy. She crept down the hallway, her flashlight barely cutting through the gloom. Then, from the study, she heard voices. Her best friend was speaking, but the words froze Emma's blood. "No, she can't know yet," her friend hissed into the phone. "I'll handle her. If she finds out too soon, everything falls apart." Emma's mind reeled. Who was on the other end? What was so fragile, so dangerous? Suddenly, her friend's voice cracked into a laugh. "Don't worry, I've got her exactly where I want." Emma's chest tightened. This was no longer just betrayal, it was a calculated game of power. Mark and two officers arrived just as Emma's friend ended the call. Emma stepped out from her hiding spot, voice steady but cold. "It's over." Her friend turned slowly, eyes wide with a mixture of surprise and fury. "You don't know what you're doing," she spat. "You don't understand the forces at play." Emma shook her head, heart breaking. "You lied to me, to him. You destroyed everything." Her friend's facade cracked. "You don't get it, Emma. He wasn't the man you thought he was. He was involved in things darker than you can imagine. I was trying to protect you from him, from them." Emma felt a sick twist inside. Was this true, or just another lie? The officers stepped forward, but before they could move, the front door burst open. A tall man in a black jacket strode in, cold eyes scanning the room. "Enough," he said, voice hard as steel. Emma's friend paled. "This is bigger than both of you," the man continued. And it's not safe here. He turned to Emma, voice softer. You've seen too much. The man's words hit Emma like a punch. The danger wasn't over. It was only just beginning. She realized that her husband's death, the threats, the betrayals, all were part of something much larger. Her world, once filled with love and trust, was now a battlefield. Mark stepped between Emma and the stranger, voice firm. We're taking her with us for her own safety. The stranger sneered. You can try, but this war has only just begun. Emma's friend suddenly lunged toward the stranger and chaos erupted. The officers struggled to control the fight. Emma was pushed back, heart pounding in terror. In the scuffle, a gunshot rang out. Emma gasped, eyes wide. Her friend collapsed to the floor, clutching her shoulder. Silence fell like a heavy curtain. Emma knelt beside her, searching her eyes. Why? She whispered. Her friend's voice was weak, filled with regret. Because the truth will set you free. With those final words, she slipped into unconsciousness. The police took her friend away, promising protection in exchange for the truth. Emma sat on the floor, numb and shaking. The pieces were coming together, but the cost was unbearable. Over the next days, Emma worked closely with Mark and detectives. Her friend's confession revealed a tangled web of lies. Her husband had been an undercover whistleblower, exposing corruption in a powerful crime syndicate. The syndicate had eyes everywhere. Politicians, police, even neighbors. Emma's best friend had been forced into silence and complicity to save herself and Emma. The realization hit Emma hard. She had been a pawn in a deadly game, but the most chilling revelation was yet to come. Among her husband's files was evidence implicating someone even closer, Emma's own brother. Her brother, a man she trusted with her life, had been secretly involved in the syndicate. The betrayal cut deeper than any wound. Emma confronted her brother. Why? She demanded, tears burning her cheeks. He looked away, ashamed. It was the only way to protect you, he said. They forced me. Emma's world fractured further. The story was spiraling into darkness, but Emma refused to break. She knew she had to fight, not just for herself, but for the truth, for justice, for those who had been hurt. In the final confrontation, Emma, Mark, and the police planned a sting to bring down the syndicate. The night was tense, every second stretched thin with danger. Emma stood firm, ready to face whatever came. The operation was successful, but came with heavy sacrifices. Several officers were injured. Emma's brother surrendered, but vowed to make amends. Emma stood amidst the wreckage of her shattered life, bruised, but unbroken. As dawn broke, Emma felt a strange peace. The nightmare was ending, but the scars, the betrayal, the loss would stay with her forever. Just as Emma thinks the nightmare is over, a mysterious message appears on her phone. This isn't the end. We're watching. Emma's hands trembled as she stared at the message on her phone. This isn't the end. We're watching. Her heart thundered in her chest. After everything she had endured, the betrayal, the loss, the near-death standoff, the nightmare wasn't over. Someone still wanted her silenced. Or worse. She looked around her small, dimly lit apartment. The walls seemed to close in, shadows creeping like silent watchers. The cold morning sun was a thin shield against the dark storm lurking just outside. Mark's voice crackled through the phone, steady and calm. We've tightened security. You're not alone anymore. Emma forced a breath. She needed strength, not just for herself, but for the truth she had uncovered. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of courtrooms, police interrogations, and sleepless nights. Emma testified against the crime syndicate, her brother, and even the corrupt officials tangled in the web. The media caught wind of the story, painting Emma as a brave woman fighting against impossible odds. But beneath the spotlight, She was unraveling, haunted by guilt, rage, and the ghosts of her past. One night, as Emma sat alone, she pulled out her husband's last letter, the one she had never read. Her fingers traced the faded ink. "Emma, if you're reading this, it means I'm gone. But the fight is not over. You have to be strong. Trust no one but yourself. The truth will set you free, even if it costs everything." Tears blurred her vision. Her husband had died protecting a secret too dangerous for the world to know. Emma realized then that survival wasn't just about living. It was about reclaiming her life from the darkness. She reached out to her estranged brother. It was the hardest conversation she'd ever had. "Why didn't you tell me?" she asked, voice breaking. He looked at her with raw honesty. "I was scared. Scared for you, scared for myself. But I'll do whatever it takes to make this right." Together they began the slow process of healing. Emma forgave, but never forgot. Her brother helped her understand the shadows that had haunted their family for years. Months passed, and the court cases concluded. The syndicate leaders were behind bars, corrupt officials exposed. Justice, imperfect but real, was served. One morning, Emma walked through the city park, the air fresh and full of possibility. She thought about the journey, the pain, the betrayal, the fear, and she felt something new, hope. Her phone buzzed again. This time it was a message from Mark. "You're safe now. It's your story, your truth. Own it." Emma smiled for the first time in months. She knew the scars would remain, but she was no longer a victim. She was a survivor. Sometimes losing everything is the only way to find who you really are. In the darkest moments, when trust is shattered and hope seems lost, true strength emerges. Emma's story is a reminder that even in betrayal, pain, and fear, the human spirit can rise. That survival isn't just about escape. It's about confronting the darkness, finding truth, and reclaiming your power. As Emma looked up at the sky, she whispered to herself, "This is just the beginning. End."